No, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. So, Wargaming not so long ago, or the last update, changed the matchmaking. Now, we haven't really spoke about, well, to be fair, we haven't spoke about this new matchmaking system because honestly, I can't really talk about the matchmaking system if I haven't really, I don't know too much about it, to be honest, and I'll be honest with that. But what I have noticed is the change in the gameplay. Obviously, Wargaming have always stated that they'll never bring in matchmaking about the skill base, the skill based matchmaking. They said they'll never ever bring in the skill based matchmaking, obviously until the last update. And people have been complaining. People have shown their feelings, and that is absolutely great. And that is something that is really, really good about the community, is that if people don't like something, they will speak up, and they will speak up in volumes. Like, it's not just a few people. There are OP players out there. He's Raw Fatness, for example, an OP player, and these players are just struggling. They're struggling to win. They're struggling to perform because it is the skill-based matchmaking. Now, I know Wargaming have now done another announcement where they are taking that away. They're scrapping the skill-based matchmaking in the next update. So, you know what, again, fair play to Wargaming. They tried it. Didn't work. People were complaining, so they're scrapping it. At least they are doing something, and they're not just sticking to their guns and saying, nope, we've implemented it and we're going to keep it. Of course, they shouldn't have done it in the first place. A lot of people back in the day used to call for the skill-based matchmaking, and nobody wanted it. And hopefully, most of you that are fairly new will now understand why that nobody ever wanted this skill-based matchmaking, because we all complain about the 30 or the 40% players. We all complain about them. Everyone, everyone. If you're in a game and you're losing, and it's a very easily winnable battle, people will moan about that player. But we need the lesser skilled players on both teams. Of course, if you've got all 50% players on one and then all 40% players on the other, yeah, the likelihood of you winning is going to be extremely low. But as for the matchmaking system itself, where Wargaming should have them players, they should mix the players. They should mix 60-70% players with 30-40% players, of course, but level, across both teams. And that is what has always sort of been the case. You may get unlucky where all of your team is below 50% and all of the enemy team are above 50%. But that is the way matchmaking works. It is totally random. They don't look at the player skill, and that is always what it has been about. Of course, they look at tank types, etc. Of course, they do look at that, but Wargaming have always stated they'll never bring in skilled matchmaking. I don't know why they then went and done it. Honestly, I don't know what Wargaming were thinking after saying this for so many years and then actually doing it. It really does baffle me, and it is something that they should have never done in the first place. Because even this last update, I'm pretty sure that they would have lost a few players, because those good and even sort of average good, the 55 maybe % players, they're struggling. They are struggling. And a lot of people would have probably left the game because of it. And so for Wargaming to quickly announce that they are reverting back to the old matchmaking, good. That is very, very good. That is what everybody wanted to see. But the fact is, you shouldn't have had to do it in the first place. If you would have just stuck to what you've said all along and never do skill-based matchmaking, we would have never had the issue that we're having now, and it would have never been a problem. Of course, there are always going to be people out there that complain about the matchmaking one way or the other. It's rigged matchmaking, etc., etc., etc. It's not rigged. It's just completely random, and that is what I've always loved about the matchmaking, is how random it is. Those of you that have only been around for the last couple of years, like, you're seeing it now as completely random matchmaking. However, they have tweaked it due to the tank types, where you can only have sort of 3 of each tank type in a game, unless there is a massive queue. Then you might get more. But honestly, back in the day, we used to have 7 tank destroyers versus 7 mediums, or 7 heavies versus 7 mediums. That is how random it used to be. Like, occasionally, not very often, but it was that random. Occasionally you would get that, and there's just, you know, of course it's not always fun. 9 times out of 10, all the mediums would actually win, because the tank destroyers have got long reloads, the mediums have the DPMs, but that is how random the matchmaking used to be back in the day. Like, imagine being in a Leopard 1 or something like that, and then you're up against 7 tank destroyers on the enemy team. You're going to get bullied. You are going to get bullied, but you really, when it was like that, you just had to use your DPM and go as a team, just go brawling, straight up, all guns blazing, and then the mediums would usually come off better. So a great change from Wargaming that should have never even happened in the first place. But yeah, it's I just thought I would talk about it, because I haven't actually spoke about it at all in a game that I completely mess up, absolutely completely mess up this game. I should have just carried on going around, taken the IS-7 out, then it would have been a win for us. But sadly, it is going to be a loss this game. But yeah, I just thought I'd play this in the background, because why not? Because why not? I thought it was a fairly decent game. I took some hit points that I didn't really need to take, and ultimately that pretty much cost me the game. But I'd love to know what you guys think of the matchmaking. Are you one of those that have always wanted skill-based matchmaking? Have you been around for years and have always wanted that skill-based matchmaking, and then you finally get it and it's not what you seem? Or are you one of those that never ever wanted it, and glad that Wargaming are quickly going to get rid of this stupid matchmaking? And this is what we always say: if you want this kind of skill, then go and play ratings. Of course, yeah, it's not always how it seems, but the further ratings you go up, normally it is the better players you come up against, unless you're coming up against a bad player that is just absolutely rapidly playing ratings, and they've got a high rating just because of the amount of battles they've got in ratings. But usually when you do get higher up in ratings, the better players that you do come up against. So if you do want the skill-based matchmaking, just go and play ratings. But I'm glad Wargaming are getting rid of it. Again, let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the current matchmaking. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm meadsy69, and I will catch you all soon. Bye bye.